Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of the Titanforge podcast. My name is Dratnos. Joining me this week, as always, my friend Tuttles.
Shout out Dratnos.
And my friend Trell.
Hey, guys.
And wait, Tuttles, this still says automatic jack.
Does it actually? No.
No.
Yeah.
Huh.
What have you done? Oh, no. Well, our special guest this week is not automatic jack. It's Nerf. Here, hang on. I'll switch to a different page. It's Nerf from Method NA. Welcome, Nerf.
I upload the wrong one, huh?
Shout out to Teddles.
Shout out to Tuttles.
Thanks for coming, automatic jack.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. No worry, no rush, Tuttles. I just
with you earlier.
I moved
All right,
to
there
a
you
different
go.
overlay, so it's gonna be fine.
We fix.
Okay, I'll go fix that also. Anyways, we're all back from BlizzCon. It's been sorry we missed a week of the show. Depleted, reset the podcast. Love it.
This is worse than whenever Sean messes up our stuff on broadcast. This is unfortunate.
Whew. How's everybody's week been? Trell, it's been a big week for you, huh? You got Twitch partner. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a good week for me. I have been farming Mechagon on 4 characters because they didn't make it account wide, and I want to stop playing the game sometimes. So
That's fun. That's very fun.
and I did get Twitch partner, so I'm excited about that.
Very cool. Okay, here. This should work now. Perfect. It says Nerf. Excellent. Nerf, how has your past week been? How has BlizzCon for you?
BlizzCon? Oh, BlizzCon was really good.
Awesome. Yeah,
It's unfortunate we didn't win, but
Yeah, second place was not bad though. It was an impressive showing from Method NA, from the boys. Especially like through the run through the upper bracket was really impressive. So congratulations on that.
thank you.
Yeah, it was. I think MDI was mostly what we were kind of expecting. We were expecting, the East Cup to not take a match off the West Cup. We were expecting Method EU, Method NA, and Abra to not lose to anybody else. And that all kind of came true.
Buff 4 played pretty well though.
Yeah, they came fairly
They won
close.
one game, right?
Yeah, I think they took a map.
Volted looked
Yeah.
pretty good.
So some signs of life there from those teams, which is good. And the matches were all for the most part good to watch. There in the audience is a good time. It was really great to get to meet everybody. I think that was my favorite part of BlizzCon. Anyways, so Nerf, outside of MDI, what do you do? WoW wise.
I'm waiting for 8.3.
Waiting for 8.3. Okay.
I think I'll probably start doing some catch-up stuff on DK. Play
Interesting.
DK in 8.3.
DK and 8.3. Yeah,
Nerf DK.
we have
Yeah,
some.
it's making a comeback.
We have some speculation about why that might be OP. Although I don't know. I have no doubt that this is going to get nerfed before it makes it to live. Like,
Dude, can you imagine if it doesn't?
there's no way, man. There's no way. Anyways, we'll save that for later in the podcast. First, let's go ahead and shout out our social media presence. On Twitter, we're Titanforge WoW. That's where you can find our tweet that tells you what the topic will be every week. And you can, if you're listening to this not live, if you're listening to this on iTunes or whatever, submit questions through the Twitter is a great way to do it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Titanforge, where you can help support the show. Among those supporters, the most powerful supporters are Paul, Gu, Never Nude, Ahar of US Proudmore, King of Skills, VTech, Rock, and Zuku. It's getting to be a nice long list here. I really appreciate the support over on Patreon. And if you're interested in supporting the show and not, through Patreon, one thing you can do is leave us a review on iTunes. That's a big thing you can do to help out. We do also have a Discord as well, so that should be in the description of this video too. You can go join and chat with everybody there. Okay. Let's talk about our main topics. So we're going to start off by talking about the Shadowlands, which is the new expansion that's coming out, because of course that's the really big piece of news since last we recorded a show. We'll talk about the Mythic Plus and competitive implications in that expansion also. Then we'll cover some stuff about the BlizzCon LAN and the MDI there, go into some depth on that, and then finally we'll close with talking about patch 8.3. And some of the new PTR stuff there, and you'll get to hear why everybody is rolling a Blood Death Knight, which is a very common theme right now among all the top tanks. I've seen them log on to their Blood Death Knights for the first time in months. Okay, starting off with the Shadowlands. So this is the big announcement we saw at BlizzCon. A couple different main features coming here. I'm going to run through. We'll save some of the main features for later. Let's start with some of the kind of side things, and we'll kind of get some quick takes on these. So one thing they're doing is returning to class fantasy instead of spec fantasy. So we're kind of going away from frost mages having a completely different spellbook than fire mages. All mages are now going to have like arcane explosion, for instance. Do you guys have any thoughts on this change? Anybody got a take here?
I think it'll be interesting. They've talked about some abilities specifically for all the classes. I'm sure you can find those online somewhere. They talked about most classes extensively except for maybe Monk, but in general, I think it should be pretty good, but overall it still feels like some specs are going to be just wildly out of place than others, and it probably will not be the balance that people are hoping for.
Yeah, my perception is that giving fire mages arcane explosion really doesn't do anything meaningful to the state of the game. And like giving paladins like auras back that are mostly useless is like, okay, one of them's going to increase their mount speed and they'll use that for leveling or whatever, and then outside of that, like,
okay, so they talked about Eyes of the Beast a lot. Isn't that just like Eagle Eye? Like, what exactly is Eyes of the Beast?
That lets you control your pet, right? And like,
Yeah, you can control the pet and move it around, like in classic WoW.
it's like mind controlling your pet, basically. Yeah.
So like it's the Eye of Kilrog thing from Warlock, right?
Basically.
Yeah. But you can like your action bar actually becomes your pets, and you can use their abilities and stuff, and run around. And I don't know, like it's cool, but it's tough to see an application for this in actual like Mythic Plus or rating content at the end game.
Hopefully there will be some cool niche things you can do. Like I don't know about Fire Mage getting Frostbolt being useful, but like if they got Blizzard, that'd be really cool because it could slow all the mobs randomly and help the tank.
Yeah, so those sorts of things might be, but I don't think that Fire Mage is going to get Blizzard. I think they're just going to get like Arcane Explosion and Frostbolt or whatever.
I think it just has bigger implications in PvP when like all these utility spells are coming back.
Yeah.
Druid getting Vortex and Cyclone baselines pretty good, I must say.
Cyclone baseline is going to be that. Okay, if that makes it to live, that's going to be a huge impact for Mythic Plus as well. You're going to Cyclone mobs on like bolstering, and they're not going to get bolstered, and that's going to be like It's tough to imagine a world where druids are mandatory for keys, but I think we might be going into that world. Yeah.
I don't know what world that would ever be.
Kappa. Okay, so yeah, we have this unpruning thing happening. There's also some change to the alt philosophy, which is really welcome, and I wish it would come sooner. Alt in Shadowlands is going to be like this new game plus type thing. So once you level through Shadowlands once on a main, on your alts, you can then start doing end game progression while you're leveling and like get the progress towards all the end game stuff that your main couldn't do until they actually reached max level. I'm really excited about this. I think this is a really good change in philosophy. And I wish that there was some alt love coming to the game sooner, but it's nice to see it happening eventually, I guess.
Yeah, they had to have known they're doing that for a while now, right? Why didn't they just do something for 8.3?
Yeah.
Help alts out or something. Like,
yeah.
That's probably one of the last major content patches in this expansion. It would have been nice.
It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine there's any more than 8.3. Like, it's hard to imagine there's an 8.4. So, yeah.
Well, just with how the patch cycles have been occurring, right? Basically, we're getting an expansion approximately every 2 years. With Shadowlands being announced at this BlizzCon, I think it's kind of implied that we're probably going to be getting it in August or September of 2020. But yeah, there definitely is probably not going to be another patch. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been the past couple expansions, right? I guess Legion and BFA have been patches every 6 months, and an expansion every 2 years. Yeah, I think that the change in alt philosophy is exciting. I just wish I'm sure that we're all kind of annoyed about the state of essences on alts because all of us would like to play some more characters and have a hard time doing so. I don't know if I personally don't want like full account-wide essences or anything. I would just like account-wide catch-up on essences once you already have them on a main.
I mean, for me, I would prefer just like more aggressive balancing of the game. I would prefer just like some class tuning every month to 2 months. The essence thing is kind of give or take for me. Like you could sure, if you gave us better catch up, it would be really nice. But at the same time, I think just overall, like a change in philosophy of how you're buffing and nerfing classes would be a little bit better.
Yeah, I would welcome that as well. I think that there are certainly some specs that have been outliers for a long time, especially in Mythic Plus. But they like just changing the philosophy around balancing to focus on Mythic Plus more would be a big upgrade for me as well. Because it seems like
Same.
like looking at these abilities that are returning to the game, for instance, it seems like there's probably not been very much thought about Mythic Plus when they're thinking about which specs are getting which abilities back. Case in point is Cyclone going to Druids. Like that seems absurd and unnecessary. Okay. One final thing coming with Shadowlands, level squish. Levels are going back down to, we're going to be level 50 at the start of Shadowlands and leveling up to 60, so it'll be just like Classic. Nerf is a Classic expert. What do you think of this level squish?
I think the levels like don't really matter unless you're starting a brand new character, right? Because either way, you're leveling to max level.
Yeah.
But for new people coming into the game, I think it's a good thing, and if it brings more people into the game, it's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think every level should have a meaningful power level increase, and they've kind of gone away from that recently because there's just so many levels. So this seems smart. And there's an entirely new starter zone as well, so this might be a good time for people getting into WoW, because the starter zones have been pretty outdated now for the past 5 years or whatever.
Does that help people actually get into WoW, though?
I think so.
It's kind of tempting even for me with all characters at 120 or 110 or 120 to go make something just to see the zone. I don't know, I'm just curious.
Like the starter zones use pretty old quest technology compared to the new expansions these days, right? Like, so if they make a new starter zone that has all these new exciting, cutscenes and fun quests where you get to do fun things and feel overpowered, that'll be good for people coming into the game, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a brand new player to WoW. It could be someone that quit some expansion ago, and then leveling from 1 to 60 isn't so daunting of a task as 1 to 120 or 1 to 130.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
it's true.
You do get boosts, so
that's true.
Yeah.
They're changing it so that you can level from 10 to 50 in any expansion. So you can just you hit level 10 and then you get to just choose one expansion to go to, and you just go to that one and you do the whole thing, and then you're level 50 theoretically by the end. So that's going to be pretty nice. Pretty big reduction in the amount of work you have to do to level, and the fact that you get to just stay in one zone instead of doing this thing where you pop between expansions and do a little bit of each one. Is going to be nice towards the that's something you have to do towards the end of your leveling experience in live right now. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good time for people to level alts. Although again, most of us have many characters already well above the leveling experience, so not going to be something we run into all that much. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the main features of Shadowlands. The first kind of big feature that they're talking about, as the flagship one for Shadowlands, is called Covenants. So these are 4 factions from which you can only choose one. They give you a progression tree through soulbinds, which we don't know too much about yet, but it looks like sort of a talent tree that you only get to pick some talents from at any given time, and you have to unlock the talents in it. And each of the 4 covenants has a different tree, so that's kind of exciting. But we don't know too much about that yet. Then they also give you a general ability, which is kind of like a Mythic Plus skip ability for most of these covenants. So that's kind of a cool one for Mythic Plus. And they give you class-specific abilities, of which some look really cool, and we haven't seen all of them yet. So this is really exciting for Mythic Plus, although it's a little worrying. I'm a little worried about having a different covenant that's BIS for Mythic Plus and BIS for Raid. That spooks me a little bit.
Yeah, me too. They were asked about that, and then they were asked if you're going to be able to swap between them freely, and their answer was kind of a dodge on, well, they should be balanced, so you shouldn't have to swap. Though they didn't say yes or no. So
yeah,
I feel like they're debating it.
I think the question was specifically about swapping for BIS between bosses and BIS between Raid and Mythic Plus too, and then they did dodge it, saying that you shouldn't need to swap. Which I hear them say that you shouldn't need to swap, but I'm just I don't think they understand how this goes.
Yeah, they said they don't expect us to do that or whatever, and I'm just thinking okay, we're if this is at all reasonable to do, and there's a 2% damage increase, I'm gonna do it for Mythic bosses.
Insert me reforging my Azurite at 100,000 gold cost. the second week of Uldir. That
Yeah.
was awful.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what the exact restrictions look like. Let's take a look at these Covenant abilities. So these are the ones that you just get regardless of your class. So these are all kind of Mythic Plus skippy ones. The Carrion one is called Unburden. Dissolve into pure anima, increasing your movement speed to 300%, slowing your falling speed, propelling you forward for 4 seconds, and reducing the radius at which enemies will detect you. Seems like this will maybe be useful as a, depending on how small it makes the radius. If it's like Rabbit Charm sized, you might be able to use this like a Shroud through places. Like you might be able to push, but I mean, it's only 4 seconds at 300% movement speed. So I guess you'll cover as much ground as somebody would in 12 seconds of normal walking. I don't know. This doesn't seem like a super BIS one, but it might do the trick if you are in a group and everybody's using their abilities to get through.
I can see that being really, really good or kind of just meh, depending on how big the aggro radius is.
Yeah, and if they make dungeons that have like a cliff that you can jump off of and get to places, then this will be really good because it slows your fall speed and propels you forward.
But if you're doing that, then it's just useful for the slow, like
Yeah.
the slow fall rather than the speed.
True.
Yeah.
The Necrolord one, this one's really cool. Transcend the flesh. Separate your soul from your body for 20 seconds. Your soul is invisible and untargetable. Your body remains vulnerable. If you move further than 60 yards from your body, the effect ends early, and when it ends or is cancelled, your body rejoins with your soul. This seems really, really good, actually. Like, to me, this is the one that looks the most OP for Mythic Plus, because this is just like a 60-yard skip. Like, you just skip for 60 yards forward.
Yeah, I like that.
You just press this button and your body stays still and your soul moves forward, and then at the end your body rejoins up with your soul, and you can just skip 60 yards completely invisible and untargetable. This one is the one that I actually think is being slept on by the community. I think this one's going to be the most OP.
You think this one is? I think this next one that you're about
yeah,
to
so
read
this is the one that everybody's been reading is the best. Night Fae Soul Shape, turn into a Spirit Fox, increasing your movement speed by 30% and causing enemies to ignore you for 10 seconds. This one, yeah, it depends on exactly how it's coded, right? Like, if causing enemies to ignore you means that you're completely invisible to them, then that's also going to be really good, definitely. But I don't know, like,
I feel like it would just make you lowest on the aggro table.
Right. My worry is this will be like Fade and not like Shadow Meld.
All right. Well, even still, it would be ridiculously strong for tanks pulling stuff.
I don't think so, because they'd be the only one in combat, and they would just attack you anyway.
It depends on how exactly it works. Yeah, if they'll attack you if you're the only one on the threat table, then this is not
okay.
Like we have to see.
I was assuming it was going to be like bop, like you're bopped and you're just running through where things will be in combat with you, but they won't like hit you.
Well, if you're bopped, they'll run at you and start hitting you. You're just immune.
Yeah, okay, whatever. You're immune. Well, a lot of mobs just don't cast on you if you're bopped too.
Yeah, they won't use like physical attacks on you.
Well, no. Like if you're bubbled or bopped, most mobs will not cast abilities at you.
Yeah, we'll see. And this one's on a shorter cooldown. This is the one that's on a 1.5 minute cooldown. If it if you can use this to shroud places, then yeah, it's going to be by far the best. But my suspicion is that it's not going to be like you're going to still get in combat. And if that's true, I think the Necrolord one is going to actually be the best one.
Why are these all seem the same, just worded?
That's good. It's good
ways.
that if they all work for most skips, that's probably better than if they only some of them do, right? Because then whichever one you pick for raid, you can do all the skips in M+ with, which will be nice. Okay, and the final one is Venthyr, who have just a blink, like it's a targeted. You just target a location within 40 yards, cast for 2 seconds, and then you teleport there. Again, this will work for a lot of skips. Not as many as the others, probably, because it needs to be in line of sight. But it does allow you to teleport 40 yards away. This one seems like it'll be pretty useful in raid in particular as well. Like, just there are a lot of boss fights where channeling a teleport for 2 seconds and then teleporting somewhere in 40 yards is probably going to be really good.
I mean, what if it works like Warlock Gate, where you can just like skip over terrain and shit? You're just like, all right, well, this is OP.
Yeah, that'll be good in M+2, I guess.
I don't know. They all seem very similar in just slightly different ways.
Yeah, Nerf, or any of these look really exciting to you?
I like the Necrolord one. I think the Venthyr one, you're gonna run into no path available stuff, and then it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, that's a safe
True.
bet, a very safe bet. The same things as like Heroic Leap, right? Like the same spots that don't work for Heroic Leap wouldn't work for Venthyr.
Yep.
All right, in addition to these, you also get class-specific abilities. We've only seen the Kyrian ones for all the classes so far, although we've also seen some of the other ones for like Mage. These are like powerful abilities, usually on at least a 30-second cooldown. My favorite of these is the Paladin Kyrian one. It's instantly cast Holy Shock, Avenger's Shield, or Judgment on all valid target within 30 yards. This seems absurdly OP on Avenger's Shield. Like, do you guys remember old Arcane Torrent, where it would just interrupt and silence everything? And like this, that's what this does. It also does a bunch of damage to all of it, and it's also a 30-yard range instead of a 10-yard range or whatever.
I hope they make this next expansion with less kicks, though. Like, man.
I don't know. Like, it seems like this Divine Toll thing is just, it's going to be nutty for prop pallies. I don't know. It seems like it's going to be a lot of damage. It's gonna you can just pull 3 packs and all the casters will just run at you and be silenced for a couple seconds. I'm pretty hyped about this. A lot of these abilities are fairly cool though. The Warrior one, for instance, like you throw a spear at a location, doing some damage in a dot, and then it tethers enemies to that location. So you might be able to use this to like kite really effectively. And I don't know. There are a lot of cool abilities here in this list. We'll have to see what the other Covenant ones are to really make a comparison. I wonder if you're going to choose which Covenant based on like the class ability, the Covenant like non-class ability, or the Soulbind like tree. It's really tough to know which of those is going to be the biggest. And like it might be I guess a combination of all those. Anyways,
I mean, even still, there's going to be some that are niche for certain scenarios that you're going to want to change them. Like, there's no way that they're all like the exact same, and there's no distinction between them, so there's no reason of changing them, right? Unless they actually don't give you a choice.
Well, it depends on how punishing it is to switch, right? Like if switching causes you to like redo a 12-hour quest line and start your Soulbind progression again from 0, then we're talking about you probably wouldn't switch unless it was like a new patch coming out and something new is changing to the Abyss, right?
Well, then them like buffing or nerfing them
would be really catastrophic, yeah.
Awful, yeah. Like what?
I don't know. I worry about them landing on a spot where it's reasonable to swap, but I won't do it for each Mythic boss. Like, it's tough to imagine what exactly that cost would be so that it's in the middle of those two incentives.
I assumed it was just gonna be like Haku, like the Zandalari troll racial thing where you have to just pick one for like 5 days or whatever.
Oh, if it like locked you out from switching for a couple days? That might be a good way to at least stop us from switching between Mythic bosses.
I don't know. They could do anything they want. These are all like really preliminary guesses on what they're actually going to end up creating.
Very true.
And also, I tested the Brewmaster class ability. It was, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that it reads like it resets the cooldown on Keg Smash every time you cast it, but all it does actually is resets the cooldown on Keg Smash when you first press.
Oh yeah, this is so troll.
Ability.
So yeah, it's Keg Smash's cooldown is reset instantly, and enemies hit by Keg Smash take 5% increased damage from you for 8 seconds. But Keg Smash's cooldown is longer than 8 seconds, right? Stacking up to 5 times. So
yeah,
until you get enough haste in the expansion, but like early expansion, Keg Smash's cooldown is longer than 8 seconds. So you just aren't able to actually stack this thing up. To like, it just falls off before you can restack it unless you have enough haste.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like unintentional that they made it that way. Maybe they just looked at current Keg Smash and were like, "Oh, this might work," and threw it on there. But we'll have to see how that turns out. It at least gives you some mastery and extra damage though over the 30 seconds.
Yeah, this doesn't like it. It seems like there's probably another Covenant that has a better monk ability than these, but I don't know. Maybe this might be good for damage if you can actually spam Keg Smash a little more. Okay. So those are Covenants. I don't know, it looks like a reasonably exciting system. It looks kind of fun. It looks like a cool way to do progression. One big thing is that the artifact power grind is going away. So I think we're all kind of happy about that.
They're just gonna bring.
Yeah, what are they gonna make instead?
Well, they're saying Azurite power is going.
Anima
away,
power.
There is anima power, but the amount that you need per week is very small. Apparently, you get like a very small amount per week. And that's the maximum that gives you a power level increase. And then after that, it's all towards cosmetics.
Anime power.
Anime power? Oh, no. Oh, no. It is funny that it'll be AP for a third expansion in a row, though. But I think that it's going to be a really small impact system. Like, I think you're very easily going to get capped on your weekly AP.
I am cautious about these Covenants, though, to be fair.
Yeah, Optimistic, but also I'm ready for one of these to be super broken in Mythic Plus and for nothing to be done about it for the whole expansion.
So it seems like it may end up being something like legendaries without you being able to change them.
Maybe. I mean, there are legendaries in this expansion that you can target. You can like choose what legendary slot you want, what effect you want on it, and then in order to get it, you do have to go to Torghast, the Tower of the Damned.
Yeah.
This is the other major feature of the expansion. The second biggest one that they announced.
Nice segue.
Thank you. And Torghast is the way that you get the runes you need to forge your new legendaries. Torghast is a 1 to 5 person dungeon that is like procedurally generated, so it changes every time you go into it. There are different levels, so you can progress deeper into it, and it gets harder the higher up you go. So at the start, it's pretty basic, but then as you move further up, you start to get traps and other stuff like that that make things harder. And there are bonuses that you can find in Torghast that will last for the duration of your Torghast run. So if you're a shaman, for instance, you might be able to like make your flame shock last forever. Depending on which covenant you join, there are like bonuses for your covenant ability, or there are bonuses that affect like the mobs that are in the dungeon. Like you might be able to make certain enemies in the dungeon explode on death, and then you can pull that on top of, pull a bunch of those small things on top of a hard enemy and kill it, and kill them all, and they'll explode and kill the big thing. So a lot of cool options here. It's inspired by like roguelike games. Games where they're like permadeath games. You go in and you increase your character's power level throughout the run, and then the run's over, and you like next time you do it, you get a completely different experience because you get different abilities. I'm very excited about this ability. I think that the 1 to 5 person is really cool. You'll be able to do this with your friends or by yourself. But I know you guys are a little bit more cautious about this one than I am.
Maybe I'm a pessimist, but this is like trash.
It's the Withered scenario from Legion.
No,
I liked
man.
the Withered scenario.
The Withered scenario was the same every time. There was no difficulty associated with it. Like this, it's like Mythic Plus in that you can just keep going up levels until it gets hard.
Well,
I think there's good
progression,
potential to it. There's good potential, but I just hope they execute it well.
I agree with Nerf that like it could be executed poorly. It's always possible that they'll warfront this thing, but
Mythic Island expeditions are also very similar, right? I'm sure, because they're never the same. They're always different.
Yeah, but those don't have these progression systems where you like get to pick abilities that actually matter for your class. Like the abilities they've shown so far that you choose between as you go up this thing actually look pretty awesome. I don't know, and like
I think it looks fun. I just hope it's really repeatable, like their marketing throughout the expansion, and not like the Wither scenario where you did it like maybe 6 weeks and then it was done. I think.
Yeah, this is like I don't know. It seems like they're putting it in an interesting spot where you're gonna get big power level bumps. Like it's not like the items and islands that are like you do 5% increased damage to elementals. Like these are actually mostly very interesting and powerful abilities that the anima gives you, and they combine in interesting ways.
Okay, so for me, it's like how quickly does it lose its luster, and like just because it's never the same, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you're getting like a completely unique instance, or does that mean that the AI is going to work differently every single time? Are you going to get just a random affix occasionally and just not be able to do some parts of the tower, or like what's going to be the deal with that? And then secondly, for me, is it mandatory or is it more extracurricular and fun?
So it seems like it will be mandatory to at least forge your first legendary or two, but then if you have all the legendaries you want, it seems like this is mostly for getting the legendary crafting stuff. And there's not really other stuff that drops out of Torghast, so much more optional than islands were, I'd say, after you have your first, like, it's not like you have to weekly cap or whatever every week to keep your AP up. I don't know.
The art looks really cool.
It does, yeah.
I think it looks awesome.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like the art for it looks badass, and they look really cool. It reminds me of Cathedral of Eternal Night, like all the artwork that they use for it, which looks really sick. But at the end of the day, like Warfronts are also useful for the first 2 weeks for getting your heroic equivalent item level piece of gear. But like, are they fun? No. I don't know. It just comes on delivery. I hope they rock though. I hope they're a good fun alternative for things that you're able to do.
Yeah, I mean, and I hope that there's competitiveness, like people trying to climb as high as they can, and some kind of leaderboard showing how many floors you've gotten up. I do worry a little bit about balancing something that's for 1 to 5 players. Like, how do you make something so that a group of 5 randoms can be competitive, but also like 2 Havoc Demon Hunters isn't like an OP comp? I don't know. We'll see. Or 1 Havoc Demon Hunter. Like, 1 Havoc Demon Hunter seems really likely to be really good. Okay. As far as M Plus goes, they really didn't talk about much for us in M Plus in Shadowlands. We did hear that there would be new seasonal affixes, and there might be an M Plus leaderboard of some kind. So that is exciting.
They mentioned that briefly. They also mentioned the end of the week chest rewards being changed.
Yes. Hey, we didn't cover that.
That was pretty exciting.
That is a big change. Yeah. What?
Instead of
Yeah. Good.
one random item from like any slot, any trinket, any crappy item that you'd never use, like the Ataldazar Gilded Claws trinket that is vendored for life. You now get a choice of 5 to 6 items, they said so far. And I guess you just choose 2 or 3, or maybe just 1. Maybe you choose 1 out of the 6 and pick that one. But at least you have a lot more options than before.
Yeah, apparently it'll like look at what content you did in the past week, which bosses you bonus rolled to like show you items from that to choose from. So that's really exciting for me. I think like showing you loot from bosses you bonus rolled is a really cool way to take the weekly box. And I think it's going to synthesize like Raid, Mythic Plus, and PvP all into that one weekly reward. So
you can get raid loot in the box?
yeah, I think so. At least that's what it sounded like. They didn't, say it for sure, but I think you're gonna have to do the raid to have raid loot show up in your choice, probably. But yeah,
that's good news for us though. In Twitch Prime of Area 52, where we raid 1 hour a week. Very good news.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely. Twitch Prime Area 52 gonna be big next expansion. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to talking about the BlizzCon LAN. But first, we have a new segment that we're trying out. This was suggested on Discord by somebody. I forgot to write down who suggested it, but thank you to whoever it was. It's not that I forgot; it's really Tettles forgot to appropriately credit you. So this is our new segment. It's called Tip of the Week. We're going to each share a tip that we have for either this or next week, or just kind of a general tip of any kind, really, for your World of Warcraft experience. My tip this week is going to be to track your stun diminishing returns. So there's a way to do this is with a weak aura. I'm going to post it in chat and in the descriptions or whatever as well. But you can get a weak aura that just puts a little bubble below mobs' nameplates, and it will show you. It'll be like green when they're DR'd once, yellow when they're DR'd twice, and red when they're DR'd 3 times on stun. And then you'll know that you can't stun it anymore. That's really important for mobs like maggots in Underrot, where you might be planning to stun them to stop their next cast, and if it's on 3 stun DR, you can't actually do that, and it will kill your group if you try and stun it. If you're like, I got this, and you stun it, and then it, kills your group, so try and avoid doing that. This is a really useful thing, especially if your group contains like outlaw rogues, because they stun rotationally. If your group doesn't have a lot of stuns, you might not need this, but I think this is a really useful weak aura to pick up, so that's my tip of the week.
Yep. Also good for assassins and Motherlode.
Yep, those are mobs that you like. There are a lot of mobs that you're going to want to stop with stuns, or something, or like an in-cap, and you want to know if you can use the stun. Tettles, what's your tip of the week?
So mine is stock up on rabbit charms before the new patch. I was trying to figure out when the rabbit charms come around from island expeditions, but I could not seem to figure that one out. I know they came out in like mid-September was the last time that we saw the rabbit charms. So making sure that you have those prior to 8.3 would be in your best interest, just to make sure that you can do all of our favorite content, tropical adventures, in the fastest way possible.
Yeah, definitely worth stocking up on those whenever possible. Trell, what's your tip of the week?
My tip is bursting necrotic sucks. Help your tank. In all seriousness, though, if you're a DPS class or a healer that has any kind of little utility this week, tanks will greatly appreciate and notice you if you use them. Such as having Demon Hunter using Vengeful Retreat for the 3-second 70% slow is actually really good. Like as soon as your tank starts kiting, if you pop that on the mobs, it's going to help them quite a bit. Same thing with Windwalker, Flying Serpent Kick does the same thing. You can Tiger's Lust your tank. You can Ring of Peace the mobs if they're struggling to find something to help themselves live, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely a really rough week for tanks this week. Nerf, how about you? What's your tip of the week?
On the same vein of necrotic, if you're a warrior tank, Conflict and Strife Major Essence can be really good. So you can be a tank that don't need no team. Because your team don't want to help you.
No, what
But you know,
about
for mobs that you can't root, well then hopefully your team will help you, like Trell said.
What if
now?
I'm
What about
trying
if you
not-
thunderclap the mobs at the same time as one of your own holy DKs trying to grip that same?
No,
Well then you're
man.
in a bit of a problem.
Yes,
As you
that's
know,
segueing us into MDI LAN. That is what happened in Shrine of the Storm, right? The mob was clapped for necrotic and tried to get gripped and stayed out. So then
yeah.
that caused a wipe there. We got to see the beautiful experience of wiping in Shrine of the Storm before you have the graveyard updated, and you just have like a 4-minute run back. That
It's
is
on MDI without a wipe in Shrine before the third boss.
yeah, it's
right before the third boss.
Yeah, that was the last pull pretty much.
catastrophic.
You guys had that game too. I was like, man, if they do this pull, they got it. But then
Yeah.
that
yeah,
happened, unfortunately.
do hate to see it. Do really hate to see it. But you know, the total MDI season for you has been really impressive. Like second at BlizzCon LAN, first in the Sydney LAN, and a bunch of good finishes throughout the cups. What was your practice schedule like for BlizzCon?
So they gave the key information like about 2 weeks before they flew us out. So they flew us out the Sunday before BlizzCon. So 2 weeks before that we got like the
bracket and everything.
the bracket and like what keys and affixes are going to be for each dungeon. So we practice usually from like 2 in the afternoon to maybe like midnight or close there, with a couple breaks in between. I always have to fight for the dinner breaks, you know.
Wait, you had to argue for
JB, let us eat.
No, JB eats all his meals before like noon. So you know he's done eating for the day, and everybody else is trying to eat. And Shaq and I are trying to get
Interesting.
dessert time and all that too, you know. But that never happens.
Oh.
Well, we get our dinner break. But yeah, we practice maybe like 10 hours a day. Closer to BlizzCon, we started around like noon, so we got an extra 2 hours for a couple of days.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, what do they allow you to have on those computers? Did you have your entire UI that you have at home and your hardware as well, or would you have those different?
Yeah, you get your entire UI as long as you sent them the folder. They lock down the computers at LAN, so like you can't really get anything off the internet or stuff like that, or download your drivers. So you have to tell them what hardware you're bringing, so they make sure they have the drivers on the computers for you. But yeah, we bring all of our own hardware. The only thing you don't use is like your own headset, except you use your own headset in the practice area.
Oh, so you brought a monitor and
No,
computer as
no,
well?
just peripherals, just peripheral.
come on,
Okay.
Trell.
I was just asking.
He had to pack up his own monitor. That would be hilarious.
You think we
how
would-
are the
Yeah, good.
how were the practice areas after it all like shaped out?
I thought the practice area was okay. Some people had a problem with like I guess the temperature they had the practice area in because it was really cold, and then I guess it was kind of loud with other teams practicing there, so you don't have like your own room. It's just segmented with like curtains and stuff. So there's a team right in front of you and a team right behind you playing.
Dude, the whole BlizzCon was actually, it was pretty cold. It was like if you packed no sweater or whatever to go to Southern California for BlizzCon, you were in for a rough time in the BlizzCon hall. They kept it really nice and cold in there, which makes sense because you don't want a bunch of people who are sweating in there. That would be not pleasant.
Yeah, I ended up with 2 T-shirts on during the first day, and I was kind of grateful because it was so cold.
Yeah. Nerf, what from the BlizzCon map pool? Did you have a favorite or least favorite dungeon from the ones there?
My favorite has to be Freehold with Teeming Reaping. It's like almost no affixes.
Yeah.
We did the
You
did
just
the
like doing
dungeon
a
in
lot
like
of damage.
in like 5 pulls. Yeah, doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, the
Um,
sub 12-minute freehold.
Nerf linked me an overall DPS of himself doing 85k, I think, overall
That's
on a
right.
Pot Warrior in a dungeon.
That's
It's quite a bit.
That is an impressive amount of damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our best in Freehold was like 11:20 or something.
Oh
in
my god.
practice.
Yeah, that's fast.
That is ridiculous.
Almost Mob Souls esque.
Yeah. Did you have a least
And then-
favorite dungeon from the pool?
King's Rest by far.
Yes.
I
Always.
think King's Rest is just poorly tuned. Everything else is okay. Just the trash mobs in King's Rest are awful. The layout of King's Rest is awful.
Did
Not
you
only
s-
that, but one practice run takes like double the amount of time of another dungeon, right? Still,
Yep. Yep.
that was my thing about it.
It almost feels like I'm
Really?
doing a live key when I'm playing King's Rest level 18.
I mean, you may actually be doing. You may as well be doing a live key whenever you're playing KR18. Did you see Method U? They pulled the whole room, the whole
The whole
Golden
first
Circuit
room?
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad lads.
Did you think that was like doable going into that, or were you
The
just
thing
a
is,
bit more?
we like King's Rest. As long as we won and stayed in upper bracket, we weren't going to be playing a lot except for that one game. So
Yeah,
like in King's Rest, we don't really want to put too much time into it. Like the whole room, in the beginning, it was like a coin flip for us almost. We tried it a couple of times and we didn't find it consistent enough to pull it out in a tournament setting.
I think that's a really good point. A lot of times people will see teams not do certain polls and be like, "Oh, they just can't do it." But in reality, it's because they know how long it will take to practice and learn the poll to the point of it being really consistent and doable in a tournament setting. And sometimes it's just not worth to put in the time. Like Nerf said, they weren't going to play that map in the grand finals. There's no point in putting that much of their practice time into.
Yeah, there's a a trade off. You have a limited amount of hours per day to practice something, and if you're spending it on that, you're not spending it on whatever else you could be doing. All right, Nerf, why don't we talk a little bit about tanks on live? Because I know that you have historically, shown up and blown up the ladders on Prot Warrior in various seasons. This season, most of the top tanks are currently Brewmasters. Do you have a plan to come back to live and, take the top spot using Prot Warrior? Do you have a feeling about, the tank balance right now? Do you think Prot Warrior is
I'm
better than
feeling attacked.
Brewmaster or anything?
I think Prot Warrior could beat Brewmasters. It's just nobody wants to push as a Prot Warrior, I guess. Honestly, I don't really want to push until 8.3 comes out. It's just it's kind of weird just waiting for a push week and then like
There's only one
another
really
week.
as well.
Yeah, and then you just so like the ladder on like Raider.io is, I don't know, a little weird since there's only one push week and you have to wait for that week to come around. But yeah, I'm waiting for 8.3.
Yeah, I think 8.3 is looking to be really exciting. That new affix is going to be really fun to figure out. Okay, back to the MDI. Do you have any tips for anybody who's hoping to get into the MDI? Like any aspirants? Anybody?
yeah. I think I know a young Brewmaster Monk player that really has desires for taking his game to the next level and would really like some help going forward with the MDI.
You talking about me?
No,
I did the MDI.
MDI, I mean, don't get banned first, right?
at Gabezilla.
That's right. I saw his comment in the Twitch. And then I don't know, just playing. Find people you enjoy playing with. I think is one of the big ones. Because you're gonna be playing with them a lot. So if you don't like playing with that person or that group of people, you're gonna have a bad time. And then just running keys on live, I guess, because until they implement something that's like MDI on live, you don't really have a practice area to practice MDI type pools and stuff. So hopefully they do something about that in the new expansion. But let's just play a lot, watch VODs of other groups, see what you can incorporate into your runs.
As now that you're on the other side of this MDI season, is there anything that you would change about like the format of MDI, going into next year or whatever?
I know a lot of people don't like the how much practice time you get for like time trials and cups. I would like to see cup dungeons like reduced. So cups were typically all of the dungeons aside from temple, since that was removed because they can't fix the bug, and then time trials was like 3 dungeons. So if they flip that, I think that would be good. Like you get more time to practice like a bunch of dungeons on time trials because they give you like 5 days, and then cups just reduce the amount of dungeons. I think would be helpful.
Yeah,
I agree.
I could see a smaller cup pool being good because it's also would make the like one of the things about watching Cup 1 versus Cup 2 versus Cup 3 is that it's all just the same. But having it
Right.
be like, this is the cup where we see Freehold, and this is the cup where we see the Underrot might actually be like a difference for viewers. So that might help there rather than hurt.
I mean, every team always had like a bad dungeon each cup because it wasn't worth their practice time, like we talked about earlier. And if there are less dungeons, and let's say 5 dungeons in the cup will be much better quality than 9 dungeons in the cup. Each one should be a little bit better, honestly.
Yeah, I think that is a good suggestion. Okay, let's move on to talking about patch 8.3. So this is what a lot of us are kind of waiting for now, the next big thing in the future, because it'll be the corrupted affix, and that looks really exciting. And the beguiling affix is, I think, run its course largely in terms of how fun it is to play, especially given how hard most of the weeks are compared to the really good push week. We've learned a lot about 8.3 in the past couple weeks. We've seen some more PTR testing. There's been more raid testing. It looks pretty cool. Oh, they renamed it to the Awakened affix. Is that true?
I have
Yep.
that in the show notes. Thank you.
Okay, nice. Nice. That's good, because corrupted items and corrupted affix, it's good to have them be a different name. Speaking of M+, there are now M+ rewards. So there's a title for doing all the 10s in time, and there's a mount for doing all the 15s in time. What do you guys think about this change here?
It's a good start for us. I think it's really good for the community as a whole. People have new incentive to do 15s that they didn't before. Obviously, we would rather have rewards at 18s or 20s, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a good step in the right direction. And yeah, it's probably better at the levels it's at for the game as a whole, because most people probably aren't doing 20s and stuff. But yeah, I would like to see something for 20s and stuff like there is for elite, like in PvP.
Yeah, I think we would all prefer something that's a little bit more competitive, but in the same vein, the fact that they're giving us anything at all is decent. I mean, it was like, did you guys see Yoda's tweet? Basically, he was like, I wonder what the ratio of people who are capable of doing all 15s in time compared to the people who are getting gladiator/elite, since they give the same rewards, are.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with that.
and that is like a very fair point whenever you have to like think about it. But at the same time, I'm not opposed to it being a little bit more of a gimme, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good start. I agree that it would be nice to see even more like elite itemization for this. You know, PvP has like, there's an amount you'd get just for playing the season, and then there's an amount for like being a super duper gladiator or whatever. And there's like a transmog set, and then an elite transmog set. And there's, you know, titles all the way up and stuff. That's cool. I would like to see us move in that direction, but this is a good step. This is a good first step. The mount looks pretty cool. It's like a Gahuni thing. We're just looking at it, so that's kind of cool. Also, yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think that this is. I think movement in the right direction is always good to see, and hopefully we see a lot more with Shadowlands. You know, now that M+ has been out for a couple expansions, and hopefully they're starting to see a lot of people liking it, and they start to really like give us a leaderboard and big rewards with it next season or next expansion.
I would
Like-
say, by and large, they have been moving in the correct direction for Mythic Plus over the course of the whole entire expansion. They've been a little bit more aggressive in their balancing than they were in Legion. Of course, they nerfed Outlaw Rogues unprecedentedly, like mid-tier,
Which is really
we've never
good.
seen
Yeah, I
before.
mean, like that
I mean,
was warranted.
All right. As much as I want to give them like shit on them for being like, oh, they should balance the game more frequently, they did nerf Outlaw Rogues like mid-patch, which is good.
Nerf, do you have anything to say about that?
I guess not about balancing, but I mean, like something easy they could do for reward is just like a transmog set. Just use the same, like Mythic and Elite PvP already use the same set. Just use that same set and just recolor it. Like
Yeah.
they do for PvP.
Would be nice.
Yeah,
For,
I
like
mean,
all 20s in time.
it's tough because like
Yeah.
people are going to complain regardless of what they do. Like if it's a recolor, people are going to be like, oh, you know, they're just giving Mythic Plus as a recolor. Wah.
Yeah,
But
I don't
I agree
think
it would be good
I
to
don't
see.
think Mythic Plus deserves its own unique thing, unique set. I think like a recolor of the Mythic PvP one, Elite PvP one would be good.
I agree. I think that would be more than enough, or that would be a big step in the right direction, I should say. Okay. Other news we have from the 8.3 PTR: corrupted weapons. These, a lot of them are pretty strong, and some of them are super duper broken. So these are weapons that drop from the raid. They all come with 25 corruption on them, which is a lot of corruption. That's a lot for a single item. But some of these are super duper OP. So the biggest one here is Skashul Vaz. This is a two-handed strength axe that gives you obsidian skin, increasing your armor by 5%. And then every time you lose 100% of your max health, so every time you've lost a total amount of health equal to your health, you explode with obsidian destruction, dealing shadow damage equal to 1,000% of your armor to all enemies within 20 yards. This thing has been like top damage of Blood Death Knights on PTR. Blood Death Knights have been top damage even just from the damage on this thing. It's not split damage, it's damage just done to everything nearby. It's absurd. This thing is an absurd amount of damage. So, this is why you're seeing people like looking into rolling onto their DK partially.
Well, that would be more of a Mythic Plus weapon. Of course, that thing is.
Yeah, it's not much in raid. It'll be like a moderate source of damage in raid. It'll probably be their second damage or whatever.
I'm sure they'll nerf it by 30% and then nerf it again and then make it split damage, just like Hot Trell.
Yeah. It is absurd how much damage it's doing right now, though. What do you guys think of these weapons as a whole? All of them. There's a lot of them are pretty powerful.
I think it's nice that they're introducing something like this that might shift the meta. Previously, it was like tier sets, like new tier bonuses, might shift the meta of classes, what you bring to like Mythic Plus or raids. So it's nice to see something unique, even if it's powerful.
Yeah. 25 corruption is a big cost to pay on these things as well. Like for 25 corruption, you could get 10% crit damage. Like 10% crit damage is a lot to trade off, right? Like in your corruption budget.
And I like that that's what you have to give up. I like the fact that there is a downside of wearing it, that you could be getting corruption and damage via whatever elsewhere. So you have to really be thinking about what you should be wearing versus what you can't. What I don't want to happen is to have 6 different gear sets in my bag at one time, but I think that's where we're about to be.
Yeah, it would be 10% crit damage, right? Because crit damage is now 2% for the tier 1. They nerfed the crit damage. So for 5 corruption, you can get 2% crit damage, but that means if you have 5 pieces with that tier 1 crit damage, you would get 10% crit, right? So 10% crit damage. So this is like the 25 corruption on these weapons has to be weighed against that, theoretically, for once you have a full BIS setup. And I think that most of these effects are going to be worse than 10% crit damage, except for the Blood Death Knight thing right now. However, they are pretty powerful. The Hunter one is kind of interesting. It says your auto shots reduce the remaining cooldown of a random Hunter ability by 1 second. This one's going to lead to those Hunters just not using their defensives because they don't want those to be on cooldown. And they only want their True Shot or whatever to get reduced, or their Bestial Wrath.
Dude, I would scream if that was like... If a Hunter was intentionally not using their defensive just to do more damage, that would actually agitate the shit out of me.
They're definitely... Like, they're gonna... Even if they do use their defensives, they're gonna feel bad about it. They're gonna feel bad about hitting Exhilaration or whatever. Yeah.
There's some other good stuff in there, too. Like, there's the Agility 2-hander that heals you for 2% of your health and deals 2% of your health and damage to your target, I think, every time you auto attack.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, that's going to be good for... That's like Brewmasters can wear this, right?
Yeah, so I think Nerf and I are going to play Blood Decay Brewmaster probably on week 1 of Mythic, and it drops off the second boss in the raid.
Do both of these drop off now?
Yeah, both of them do.
Yes,
wow, huge. That's awesome. Yeah, it's
So
good. It's a new Diver's Folly, right? Both off the second boss.
Yeah, naturally we won't get our weapons till like week 7 because of RNG, but we're excited.
This is going to be really good for Guardian Druid as well, right? Because they have a really big health pool, so that's going to be nice. That's going to be a bigger amount of damage and health for them on the Anzig Vra staff.
I'm excited for... I don't think this corrupted thing should be moving much forward past patch 8.3, but I think they're actually making some changes to make it look a bit more enticing. There's obviously the legendary cape as well that reduces...
Yeah, so that's another change here.
And insanity, right?
The sanity is... Yeah, that's just a thing inside the horrific visions of N'Zoth. That's not something that happens outside of those, so it's not something you have to worry about in Raid and Mythic Plus. But yeah, they've also in this update they've added corruption resistance to that cloak, so you'll be able to basically your corruption budget is going to be a little bit larger than we expected it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope the patch is fun. All in all, I think it looks like it should be decent. It looks like everything from BFA is kind of coming together in an okay way, and it looks like it'll be a decent patch that we're going to have for 8 months, right?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a cool
Hope so.
patch. That the Awakened Affix looks really exciting. I can't wait to play that.
Yeah, that should also be decent. Okay, so the obelisks don't move week by week. I know that we were talking about that last show, and they are static the whole entire time.
Yeah, that's interesting. That the obelisks are just in the exact same position each week. That's going to be really fun, or that's going to be interesting. I don't mind this. I think
the
it's
Atoll
probably
would need to be moved, but then the rest of them, every single dungeon looked okay.
yes, that Atoll one next to Volcall or whatever behind that double honor guard pack that nobody pulls.
Actually, never mind. The honor guards need to be nerfed. The obelisk doesn't necessarily have to be moved. The obelisk can stay there, but the honor guards need to not be.
Yeah, it's possible that they're planning to move the obelisk. They just haven't implemented that yet in the PTR, right? Like it's possible that that's eventually the plan. But I think that a good end ground for them would be for the obelisks to stay in the same places and change which obelisk is in which place each week. I think that would lead to a good mix of like not having to relearn what each dungeon's map is like, but then still being some change up for the really high level groups. Anyways, let's move on to Q&A. Our first question comes from Alex G on Discord. Thoughts on every mount being released being the Serpent model? So this is the like the fact that the Mythic Plus 15 mount is also on that Serpent model. Do you guys have any opinion about this like Serpent model thing?
At least they're giving us content. I don't know. They have to allocate their resources somewhere. And actually, now that I say that, I wish they'd allocate those resources to balancing Mythic Plus or making dungeons better.
I don't think those are the same people that make the models.
I think those are same different teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Alex G, dumb questions like this are why you'll never be on the podcast.
Hold on. No. Okay, so we were actually going to use this dumb question to segue into 15s, giving the title and mount, but we've already hit on.
Yeah, we already talked about that. Sorry, that was that's fair. Nerf, do you have any mount model preferences? Any what is your favorite mount to use?
The Swift Zulian Tiger.
Ooh,
It can't fly though, so
it's a good choice though. It's a good choice. Have you picked up that Deathwing mount from the new?
I have, yes.
Ah, yeah. What did you think of that raid experience?
It was actually not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty
not too
fun.
bad. It's just a weird bug on Ragnaros, and then that was it.
That happened to me as well. Yeah.
Were all the guys like all the little things
What was the
spawned
bug?
everywhere? I was like, what the fuck?
The Ragnaros
yeah.
bug, we just kept like getting ported back to the spawn point on Ragnaros every 5 seconds, and it was a wipe because of that.
Ah,
Yeah, apparently it has something to do with like doing Nefarian the wrong way would cause that to happen. Like if you just tunnel Nefarian instead of killing the ads, that would happen. Anyways, next question comes from Misfire on Twitter. How big of a mess do you foresee corrupted items being in M+? They feel that it'll be a disaster for low-level pugs, and dread ever having to pug a weekly 10 to 15. And how do you think they'll work in the MDI? Would the bonuses ever be worth it? Yeah, I'm definitely...
it'll definitely be a learning experience for the public community. I think people will go in with like 80 corruption and just be killed by it, literally anything touching them. And then they'll realize, maybe I shouldn't do that. I should probably wear like less than 40 corruption, I think is the breakpoint that I was looking at. And so currently 40 is where I'd want to be as a tank underneath, because there's no way I'd want to take extra damage from all sources. That would just be death.
40 is where you have the thing chasing you. It's 60 where you get the extra damage taken and healing reduction. But yeah,
that thing chasing you.
I think the thing chasing you is a good thing to avoid. I think 39 or less is going to be the standard. Maybe
Imagine
60
trying to
is nice.
shroud. Like you're trying to shroud and something's chasing you.
Oh my god, dude.
It breaks you out of the
That's gonna
shroud.
happen at least once.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about it like this though. I think even getting over 20 corruption and getting that cloud is also really obnoxious too, because all of the incidental damage, if you take any damage from anything, the odds of you just getting one shot by something that's ridiculous is very high if you're not completely top.
Yeah, so maybe you're actually supposed to be at just 19 or less. And you could still use these corrupted weapons because you're going to get some corruption resistance, right? So you can, like, you'll be able to have a 25 corruption item and still be below 20 corruption.
But then in raid, I think you're just gonna like, you could probably get up almost all the way to 60 and probably be okay.
Yeah, the thing chasing you might still be a problem. Depending on how much damage it does when it connects, but
You don't get one shot, but you very rarely get one shot by mechanics that are non-avoidable in raid.
I don't know. I could see it like on depending on what the end boss fights are like. I could see the later mythic fights really not
Like-
wanting you to take random chunks of 70% of your health.
Like Zakul, like Manic.
Yeah, or even if you just have just a bunch of stacks of Hysteria, like you're probably not topped, and like Ajara,
Yeah, I don't know.
taking a huge hit.
Taking more damage from corrupted gear always seems like a mistake, but then do we think that the downsides of the corrupted gear is too, like the things that they're doing are too out of place by making you take damage?
No,
Or
that's
do you
awesome.
think that's
I'm
like
not
an
sure yet.
appropriate punishment?
I think it's
I'm
really
not sure
cool.
until I test it.
Yeah, I can't wait to play with these. I don't know yet. That's really cool.
Hmm.
All right, Cat Gay on Discord asks, "What do you think about the upcoming rewards for 10s and 15s? Should the levels be higher or lower? Maybe some more prestigious reward for 20s." Okay, so we talked about this a little
Oh
bit.
crap! We talked about that one too.
Yeah. I think that higher level rewards would be cool. I definitely don't think that lower level rewards would. I think 10 is the lowest they should go for rewarding, cosmetics, unless they want to reward like an aspirant gear set like PvP has for lower than 10s. Yeah, I don't know. I
I
would.
think 10 is too low. I think 10 is so. You
I
can
mean, it's
3 mana
all
10.
10s in
So
time.
player.
Like there's and people who there are a lot of people who don't do much Mythic Plus or who don't do Mythic Plus the way we do. And I think giving them some incentive to, do all the dungeons or whatever is cool too.
What do you think about sales?
Yeah, I mean, like the 15 sales are going to be really spiking in demand this coming patch, right, for that mount. So that might be good for us. We might be able to make some gold. I would like to see 20 rewards also at some point, but I can wait till next expansion for that. That's fine.
I want the leaderboard. I
I don't know. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the glory, right?
It's
I don't care about the transmog. I care about the glory and the leaderboards or whatever. And the
Shout out
thing
Dratnos, rank 1 rogue in A of season 1.
that's not even
Forever
true. I
riding
don't
that
think.
All right, he was ranked top 10 rogue. Of
I
season
was
1.
definitely top 10 in an A. Yeah, season 1. Season 2, we had the best run. Actually, me and Nerf here had the best run in season 2. That 26 Toldagor in
That's right.
29 minutes. That was
Did you pay him for that?
Yep. In gold only, of course.
toxic.
Hold on.
Toxic. Okay. Final question comes from Twitch chat from Kalsarog at Nerf Tank TV. Were you sad Kahoonies didn't make a comeback at BlizzCon?
No.
What is that? What do you not miss about Infested?
It's not. I don't miss anything about it. It's just it would have just been shadow melded anyway.
That's true. Yeah, Shadow Meld against Infested is something we didn't really like. We didn't really play a lot of Shadow Melds against Infested because there wasn't an MDI at the time, but it would be very OP against that also, right? You would just CC all the infested stuff and then
I
meld
think
at the
they
end
need
of the
to
pull.
delete shadow meld. Delete shadow meld.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you guys think?
or at least just ban it for MDI.
Do you guys think Shadow Meld was insane in Legion and just nobody played Night Elf, or do you think Arcane Torrent was just equally stupid?
I think Arcane Torrent was just better in Legion at least. Although Shadow Meld definitely had potential. Like if people would have used Shadow Meld for bolstering keys in MDI and Legion, I think that probably would have been better.
Yeah, I could
In
see.
some cases.
I could see Meld being having been. Meld was probably better than we played it in Legion, right? Like we probably should have melded more than we did in Legion, but Torrent might have still been the dominant one.
Targetable mechanics, like the eyeball man that would fixate you in Court of Stars. I would
Yeah.
meld him, and that's like literally it. I don't think I use it like anywhere realistically, but looking back on it, it was like, man, that was kind of an insane ability that we underutilized.
Yeah, so I think Meld was. I mean, Torrent was really OP though too. Like especially the way that Legion dungeons worked, where you just like AoE pull Torrent. That was really good. So, and Torrent made it possible. Although maybe if we could go back now, we'd be able to do it without Torrent with just the BFA skills that we
People
all
are
have.
way better
Yeah,
right now. Holy shit, people are so much better now.
Like, yeah. I don't know. Okay. Anybody got any final words here before we close out this week's show? And anything we missed to talk about that you've wanted to say?
I got my Nerf delete Toldagor sign on stream at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Hopefully they delete that dungeon the next.
Yeah, in the next expansion, it'll be gone.
That would be exciting. All right. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Titanforge podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Bye.